Hello, Internet! This is getting posted at 8 o'clock on Facebook, and it's Chapter 12 of Rinkitink in Oz. I'm recording a little early because I have church tonight, and the kids have church tonight, and nobody will be home at 8 o'clock to record this. And I just noticed that this side of my mustache connects to the beard real well, and this side looks real thin there, and I don't know why. Sorry, I'm looking in the camera and it's like funky looking, and I don't know what I need to do here, but something's weird. All right. No. Anyway, yes, okay. My kids are like, you do look weird, Dad. You're right. Sometimes I don't appreciate them. All right, we're going to read Chapter 12 together now. Chapter 12 is entitled The Excitement of Bilbil the Goat. I do like Bilbil. He might be my favorite Oz character at this point. Chapter 12. Our story must now return to one of our characters whom we have been forced to neglect. The temper of Bilbil the Goat was not sweet under any circumstances, and whenever he had a grievance he was inclined to be quite grumpy. So when his master settled down in the palace of King Goos for a quiet life with the boy prince, and passed his time in playing checkers and eating and otherwise enjoying himself, he had no use whatever for Bilbil, and shut the goat in an upstairs room to prevent his wandering through the city and quarreling with the citizens. But this Bilbil did not like at all. He became very cross and disagreeable at being left alone, and he did not speak nicely to the servants who came to bring him food. Therefore those people decided not to wait upon him any more, resenting his conversation and not liking to be scolded by a lean, scraggly goat, even though it belonged to a conqueror. The servants kept away from the room, and Bilbil grew more hungry and more angry every hour. He tried to eat the rugs and ornaments, but found them not at all nourishing. There was no grass to be had unless he escaped from the palace. When Queen Kor came to capture Inga and Rinkitink, both the prisoners were so filled with despair at their own misfortune that they gave no thought whatever to the goat, who was left in his room. Nor did Bilbil know anything of the changed fortunes of his comrades until he heard shouts and boisterous laughter in the courtyard below. Looking out of a window with the intention of rebuking those who dared thus to disturb him, Bilbil saw the courtyard quite filled with warriors, and knew from this that the palace had in some way again fallen into the hands of the enemy. Now, although Bilbil was often exceedingly disagreeable to King Rinkitink, as well as to the prince, and sometimes used harsh words in addressing them, he was intelligent enough to know them to be his friends, and to know that King Goos and his people were his foes. In sudden anger, provoked by the sight of the warriors and the knowledge that he was in the power of the dangerous men of Regos, Bilbil butted his head against the door of his room and burst it open. Then he ran to the head of the staircase and saw King Goos coming up the stairs, followed by a long line of his chief captains and warriors. The goat lowered his head, trembling with rage and excitement, and just as the king reached the top stair, the animal dashed forward and butted his majesty so fiercely, the big and powerful king, who did not expect an attack, doubled up and tumbled backwards. His great weight knocked over the men just behind him, and he in turn struck the next warrior and upset him, so that in an instant the whole line of Bilbil's foes was tumbling, head over heels to the bottom of the stairs, where they piled up in a heap, struggling and shouting, and in the mix-up hitting one another with their fists, until every man of them was bruised and sore. Finally, King Goos scrambled out of the heap and rushed up the stairs again, very angry indeed. Bilbil was ready for him, and a second time butted the king down the stairs. And now the goat also lost his balance and followed the king, landing full upon the confused heap of soldiers. Then he kicked out so viciously with his heels that he soon freed himself and dashed out the doorway of the palace. "Stop him!" cried King Goos, running after. But the goat was now so wild and excited that it was not safe for anyone to stand in his way. None of the men were armed, and when one or two tried to head off the goat, Bilbil sent them sprawling upon the ground. Most of the warriors, however, were wise enough not to attempt to interfere with his flight. Coursing down the street, Bilbil found himself approaching the bridge of boats, and without pausing to think where it might lead him, he crossed over and proceeded on his way. A few moments later, a great stone building blocked his path. It was the palace of Queen Kor, and seeing the gates of the courtyard standing wide open, Bilbil rushed through them without slackening his speed. And that is the end of Chapter 12, which was titled The Excitement of Bilbil the Goat. Tomorrow night, right here, 8 o'clock Facebook Live, we're going to read Chapter 13, Zella Saves the Prince. Yay! I'm excited for that. I'm also excited to see what Bilbil does to everybody in Korrigos, because that's just funny. I'll see everyone tomorrow. I hope you join us. Good night.